Hey, what's up everybody? This is Jose from Southern Life, and on this video we're going to talk about the top 10 best small towns in Alabama. Alabama is quickly becoming one of the most attractive places in the country to live. In the year 2019, Alabama had the highest high school graduation rate in the entire country, 10% higher than the national average for African American students. However, small town life is not for everybody. The speed of life in these places is definitely not for everybody. So small town life may not be for you. Formal education, opening a door for somebody, not hawking at somebody in traffic. They don't want big city jerks in their small towns. That's not going to happen. And the one thing that Alabama's not improving is the condition of the prisons here. So if you're a criminal, maybe you want to consider Florida or California or another state that'll make prison life a little bit more comfortable for you. Nick Johnson did a top 10 best small towns in Alabama video. He did a really great job with extensive homework. I really congratulate him for that. However, my list is not going to include some of the larger cities like Muscle Shoals or even Homewood, which most of these online lists consider the best small town in Alabama. It's in the middle of a large metropolitan area. These are really small towns that stand by themselves. And if you're moving to Alabama, I would recommend you look into Madison, Prattville, something like that. Even Auburn, they're a little bit bigger, and they offer just about everything you need. Because moving to a small town where there's no Target, there's no Starbucks, there's none of the comforts you're used to, it's definitely not for everybody. And I can't emphasize enough how much of these medium-sized cities in Alabama have incredible small-town vibes. In fact, even some large cities in Alabama have incredible small-town vibes because it's just the way the state's laid out. So these are real small towns, and I really wanted to make that distinction and explanation before I got into the video. Also, Baldwin County's not on the list. These are all great places to relocate, but they're not really what a small town is about. The amount of homework that I've put into this video is incredible, and I hope you guys can appreciate how much time I've dedicated to this one single video to make it incredible. You guys ready for it? Let's do it! Number 10, Centerville. Once you're there, it may not look like much. It's the type of place that when you spend some time here, you're like, yo, this is a nice little small town. When you walk into a restaurant and everybody knows everybody. It's 30 minutes away from the Mercedes-Benz plant in Tuscaloosa. And when things go back to normal, you want to be near Tuscaloosa. That gives you a lot of stuff to do when you get bored of your small little town. Maplesville nearby is also really nice. It's located in Bibb County, which has some of the most beautiful natural scenery in the entire state of Alabama. You're talking waterfalls, and there's parks where you can really enjoy the entire river. Hunting is really big in this part of the state. A few really good Mexican restaurants throughout the city. They even have a Walmart, Wendy's, McDonald's, so there are some things there. It's not like there's absolutely nothing. First appearances are not going to impress you in this town. It's really going to be going there and experiencing it and be like, oh, wow, these are pretty friendly people. Oh, wow, this is a really cool river. The Cahaba River, definitely recommend it. And again, proximity to a lot of important stuff, jobs in big cities, all that, not too far away. Definitely deserves to be on the list. Number 9 is Anniston. I hope I'm pronouncing that one right. I struggle with this one. This little town is north of Birmingham. It is 16% Latino, and at almost $19,000 per capita, that's a lot of money for a small little town. It's got a really nice downtown district, it's got a lot of business, and it's known for having a lot of covered bridges. If you've never explored a covered bridge, it's a really neat experience. I had never seen one until I came here. I've seen it in pictures, and that's about it. So that was a really neat thing to experience. The city has incredible natural settings. There's mountain, there's creeks. So again, if you like nature, there's definitely a lot of stuff to do in the surrounding area as far as exploring. And again, not a lot of people out there, so you can really get to enjoy those natural settings pretty much all to yourself. The heart of small town USA are the sports team, helping the kids with the baseball and all the sports. The city's really active, and that's a great thing for the young people and for the families to be focused on something that keeps kids out of trouble, keeps families busy. It's really great to go into a town and see so much activity, family involvement, and then to run out of the town and have natural settings that are pretty much all to yourself. It's a great combination. Undoubtedly one of the best towns in Alabama, and again, another town that you're not going to find on most lists. It's the type of place where you just, again, back to the same thing, which is just on the ground, hands-on experience to see these towns, see the people that are there, see the people, interacting with each other, see the baseball team, see all that, to realize this is a really wholesome, clean community, and that it's definitely one of the best places in the state. And if you're looking for that for your family, if you have kids, then this is definitely a great place to consider putting yourself, where there's going to be income, there's going to be proximity, stuff to do, all that, lots of nature. Really great little place, and again, not a place you're going to find looking at the best statistics. A lot of these little towns are really great, and as we get closer to the top of the list, we'll see towns that have more outstanding qualities, but a few of these towns are just low-key towns that are really awesome. Not everybody's looking for those incredible attractions and big-name towns that everybody knows. A lot of people just want a place where they can raise their family and have a good environment and be associating with good people. And if you have the things you need, you're happy. And if that's what you're looking for, this town could definitely provide it for you. Everyone has a different understanding of what an attractive place to live is. But if you want that hometown feel, that warm, small town, Friday night game type of feel, this place will definitely provide it for you. And it seems like a really great place to start a family or raise a family and just kind of live that small town life without those big city worries. The affordability of Alabama extends not only to residential property but also to commercial property, and you'll see that a lot of these small towns in Alabama have a lot of stuff. You look at cities in other states and they don't have a lot. Alabama, the affordability basically means that businesses can actually set up in really small towns and be successful and stay in business for a very long time. And that means that if you live there, you have a lot of stuff at your disposal. Number 8 is Tallassee. When you first drive through this town, you just notice these massive structures that are abandoned and think there's nothing to this town. But it's not the structures that make a city. It's the great people that are here and the people that are working to make this a better place. With proximity to Montgomery and Auburn and Lake Martin, you'll have stuff to do here. Especially if you enjoy fishing. It's a great place to start a business. I got a tour of the city from the actual mayor of the city, and it seems like the type of place where you can really get help if you want to start a business. It's extremely affordable to rent commercial space here, and the city really helps you get things done. It's brought incredible companies to the area. The fact that this part of Alabama makes things easy if you want to start a business. So if you've got a dream, this area of Alabama could be the place where you could actually buy the whole commercial building. Forget about renting it. It's that affordable, and they're going to make it easy for you. There's also a lot of retired people here. And while it doesn't look like much, I live in Elmore County myself, and I have found that it's a great place to do business. There's a lot of customers that are willing to pay you right and take care of you. And as long as you're a hard-working person, you will be appreciated in this area greatly. Has to be on the list. Number 7 is Montevallo, located in Shelby County. This city has less than 7,000 people, a university, and is located in a really quiet section of Shelby County. It has a charming, nice downtown district. The per capita income of the city is just under $20,000, which is not bad for Alabama, and the population of Latinos is approaching 7%. I love the town. It's got the university on the north side. It's a really small, very compact little town with everything you need, from fast food to nice little restaurants. Just everything is right there in the town. You can get like a little house on the outskirts with a mountain view on like 3 acres for under $200,000. Number 6 is Eclectic, Alabama, located in Elmore County. This town of roughly 1,000 people has 2 Mexican restaurants and a bunch of really friendly people. The town is rural, but it's got a lot going on. It's got proximity to Lake Martin, which is a wealthy area in the county. Therefore, even though it's a small town, it attracts business and clients from a large area. So the town has more restaurants, furniture stores, and things to do than a normal town of 1,000 people would normally have. The town is extremely affordable, and the vicinity of it is also extremely affordable, with the exception of those properties are directly on the lake, It's actually part of the Montgomery Metropolitan Statistical Area. Of course, the residents don't want to admit that because they don't consider themselves part of Montgomery. They consider themselves their little town out in the middle of nowhere, so the locals don't really like that term too much, but it really is part of the Montgomery Statistical Metropolitan Area. And it's definitely not an impressive little town with beautiful homes and all that crap. It's just a little town in the middle of nowhere. It's one of those places where at first sight it doesn't look that impressive, but once you spend some time in the area, you realize it's a really awesome small town. So while at first glance it doesn't seem that special, once you're in and out the area, you'll start to see the beauty of this place. Number 5 is Coleman, Alabama. This one's going to be a little controversial. Based on what I had heard about this town, when I went here for the first time, I expected like the Civil War reenactment they hold in Brooksville. However, that's not what I saw. I saw friendly people. Everybody waves at you. People are extremely courteous. Beyond any doubt, one of the cleanest cities in the entire state of Alabama. You don't see litter. You don't see properties that are neglected. The entire city is in beautiful condition. For the year 2021, Miss Alabama USA was a young lady from Coleman. She is African American, and she says that while people misunderstand her town, the town has come a long way. And it is very true that the town has come a long way, and it's time for us to recognize it. It's not right to slap this label on this town that doesn't deserve it. She said that mostly African Americans or people of color consider Coleman a place you don't even go to or you definitely don't live in. The town of Coleman does have a small African American community, and it also has a Latino community. I went to a Mexican restaurant that had a lot of business, so I think this town is really not what people say it is. Other online lists will also include Coleman among their best towns in Alabama. I definitely agree. It seems like to me that the top 5 is almost everybody agrees on. So these top 5 towns we're going to go through, I'm just going to expound on them a little bit more from a personal perspective. But it seems like these top 5 towns, including Coleman, are pretty much the clear victors on this list. I did find it very interesting to see that the public housing in Coleman, Alabama was predominantly white, and that is a very interesting thing to see. Many whites in the United States contend that why don't they also have the fair shot to live in free government housing? Not that I think I wouldn't, that's not something that I'm fighting over, but apparently I do have a lot of people that come to my channel and say, hey, black people get to live in the projects for free. I want to live in the projects for free. Well, in Coleman, there are white people that are living in the projects, and if anything, that's actually a strive in inequality, if you think about it, ironically, right? Because, whatever, I'm not going to argue about living in a free government housing. I'm trying to see how I can live in a mansion. So, you can keep that. I'm going to figure out how I can get myself into a mansion. Number 4 is Guntersville, located in Marshall County. This is a beautiful area surrounded by mountains. The city itself is kind of like a little island surrounded by water in all directions. Marshall County has one of the largest Latino populations in the entire state of Alabama. With proximity to Huntsville, which is one of the fastest growing cities in the country, recently named number 9 for best places to move to in the entire country. As you would imagine, fishing is really a great pastime in this area, being that there's so much water here. It is in fact one of the most beautiful places in Alabama. The city feels like it's on an island almost. So much so that every single list of the best small towns in Alabama is going to include Guntersville. With a population of under 10,000 people, it really is a small town. It has a very beautiful downtown district, which is a great place to spend the evening looking at the sunset over the mountains and over the water. It's really beautiful there. With no shortage of beautiful homes as well, the town is really well put together. Surrounded by mountains of the Appalachians and the Tennessee River, the natural beauty of this place alone makes it a place you'd want to be. And then you have the charming downtown district. Another thing that I don't like too much is that it's kind of a one-way where you have to make this giant loop around the city. When you're driving through the historic center, it's kind of odd, but eventually you'll get used to that. The previous city of Coleman had a very dysfunctional grid pattern with square blocks repeated one after the other. That also made very little sense. So keep in mind with these older cities that they have to kind of integrate the buildings with the modern flow of traffic. Being that it's almost on an island, it's not really an island, but it feels like an island because you have water in all directions. It's a very interesting laid out city, and there's also some topography with mountains on the right side of the screen, which is the north side of the city. It's a very interesting place the way it's laid out, different from anywhere else you've been to. Not only is the immediate area beautiful, but you also have adjacent Tennessee and Georgia not too far away. It's where all these states meet together. It's an area that's hilly and beautiful with water in between the hills. Absolutely gorgeous, and unlike anything else you've ever seen in the United States. If you've ever came through Chattanooga and you've seen those lakes when you cross from Tennessee to Georgia, it's kind of like that. Beautiful area, and I definitely recommend you visit this place. One thing I didn't like too much about this place is that there's no new hotels or anything really fancy. I'm not a fan of staying in kind of below par hotels when I travel. I have a very high expectation because I know what happens in those crappy little hotels and motels. You get bed bugs! So I did have a hard time finding lodging that was up to my elevated standard for a YouTube blogger. Number 3 is Helena, located in Jefferson and Shelby County. The Cahaba River flows right through the city limits. This is a small town with a population of under 20,000 people. Unlike Homewood, which is right in the center of the metropolitan area, this city's kind of off to the side and really consists of a small town in its own rights, being that it's not directly within the mess of the metropolitan area, but a little bit reserved off to the side. It's part of a mountain range that extends into Bibb County that is absolutely gorgeous. This area is beautiful. The Cahaba River winds through here with small waterfalls, rocks, ledges. It's just an incredibly beautiful area. And not only the natural beauty, but the town is laid out really nicely. The per capita income for the city is over $26,000. That's better than some large cities. And less than 2% of families are below the poverty line. That's a very interesting statistic. You'll rarely see a town that has so little percentage below the poverty line. So you can say that most people here are making fairly good income and living fairly well economically. Their marriages, however, are not faring the same way. While I do not know and cannot find statistics on what percentage of the population is cheating on their marriage mate, I suspect that a large percentage of people that live in this town are having marital affairs. And I have absolutely no scientific, statistical, or even logical explanation for this belief. Therefore, I don't even know why I'm talking about it. It just seems like that place where your marriage can go to crap. Even though it's beautiful, the buildings, the houses, the storefronts. Underneath it all lies a sinister, evil, greedy desire to have more than what you already have and are allowed to have. I think I forgot to take my medicine today. Sorry, I got a little carried away there. Wait, hold on, what? How did I... ¿Qué? Que coisa? Ah, tá bom. Tá bom. É a mulher. Ah, agora eu vou trabalhar. Not sure why I just turned into a gangster Brazilian all of a sudden, but it just came out of me. The area also has some really nice development, so if you want to live in a small town, but you still want to have that suburban life, well, there's a lot of really nice neighborhoods, and I like the styles that they're implementing. You know, they're not like... When we run in those developments in those cities where like every house is like exactly the same. They do that everywhere in Florida. I think like in Naples, Florida, where I used to live, like 90% of houses are like identical. Yeah, like these cookie cutter subdivisions where like every single house looks the same. That's horrible. So the new houses that are going in here, you know, they kind of all look different. It looks like a normal neighborhood, so you can still have like the modern luxuries and all that and not have like, you know, to live in a box, basically. Had to be number 3. Beautiful town, and all the other lists include this town as well. Number 2 is Hartselle. This little town is in northern Alabama, part of the Huntsville metropolitan area, which is one of the fastest growing and most popular cities people are moving to in Alabama. So if you want to be near a fast growing area with lots of jobs, high incomes, but you still want to be in a small town, then this is probably the one you want to go for. Known as the City of Southern Hospitality, it's a great title to have. This metropolitan area has stuff like NASA, the FBI, Toyota, Mazda, and many other important companies are setting up home right here. So it's a great place for people who want to have high incomes and access to really good jobs. Now I have to be fair. I have not explored the northwest side of Alabama as much as I should have. I've been in Alabama for 9 months, and I've really missed that little area by Muscle Shoals, so this little town will have to represent that area until I have an opportunity to go in there again. I like to make videos about things I actually know about, and since I haven't been to that part of Alabama, I cannot include those towns on my list. So if you don't agree with my list, in the future we can always make another list. Now as we move on to number 1, I know people in southwest Alabama are also wondering, why aren't we on this list? Marion, Greensboro, these are nice towns that would qualify very well for this list. However, they're so far from large cities that living there will be a huge inconvenience. So, not that Marion and Greensboro are not nice towns, but I'm going to figure that somebody who's looking at small towns is going to eventually need big city stuff, and if you're hours away from it, it's really impractical. And even if you're close to cities like Tuscaloosa or Montgomery, those are not exactly cities that have everything like Nashville or Birmingham, places that offer a whole lot more stuff. And to be fair, Huntsville, even though it's a small area, does have everything a big city is going to have. So with that in mind, we're going to move on to number 1. And again, if I didn't include your city, then that's not really a problem. We can always do this video again, so make sure you comment your opinions. Number 1 is Wetumpka. First, I fell in love with the place, then I fell in love with the friendly people that live in this town. The impact crater is another thing that makes the city interesting. The Coosa River goes right through the center of the city with a beautiful large bridge. The historic town center is charming, and it was recently renovated with the efforts of the HGTV show. However, there's also the Blue Ridge neighborhood right outside the city, which has homes right in the mountains, very similar to what you'll find in the Huntsville area, where the houses are kind of up on the hills. This city really has everything you would want from an Alabama town, and it's not too far from the east side of Montgomery for shopping opportunity, so it has everything you would want. Several really unique and interesting restaurants. The city's amazing, and it really is the best small town in Alabama. Do you agree with the list? Let me know how you feel.